Hello lovely friends, here's a sneak peek of today's dustpan pour, which turned into something very different. I tried a dustpan and I ended up getting lost in the moment and modifying it, and then I saw it when it was dry and I thought, oh, I could spray something on there. So thank you first of all to the Travelling Tramps and Simply Nanette, and thank you so much to all my subscribers. Your love and support does inspire me so much and help me with my creations for you. We're so excited today to be doing a special collab with Michelle from Royal River Art. She's an amazing artist, wonderful friend and such a lovely person. And we're so excited to have her on today. If you haven't subscribed to her channel, please do so. So here's the dustpan that I got. And I ended up finding some bits of plastic. And this is Steve putting some silicone gel on it, and then there's me scraping the middle out, and I was on my way to just experimenting. I hadn't used silicone before, so Steve wanted to show me what he would do, and off I went, let it dry, and then I chose these colours, and I just suddenly thought, you know what I could do? Use Deco Art satin enamel to add to a couple of my paints and see what the effect is. Because I've not done a dustpan pour before, but I've done different pours, and when the paint lands on the canvas it creates this most amazing effect when you use satin enamel. It's almost like a cloudy effect. In fact, people do use this in their cloud pours. It's not a cloud pour, but it's just a little bit added, just the tiniest bit, and you only need to use a tiny bit of this to have an effect. So I added it to the pink and to the red, and then I blended it all in. Oh my goodness, I thought, I don't know what's going to happen to this today. And I was really excited to find out, because I'd seen a few dustpan pours, and I can't wait to see what Michelle has created for her dustpan pour. And Kim, they always surprise me. So this is really exciting today. So I've got my permanent rose and I'm mixing it up, and you can see because the satin enamel is slightly white, or is white, it's a warm white, it's made it very slightly lighter pink, and with the red too, it's just made it almost slightly orange. It's a very bright red. You can see it looks almost orange now, and that's what happens when you add a bit of white to a red that's that bright. But I loved the colours. I thought, let's go along with it, and that blue I think looks quite like a purple, or on the ultramarine sort of blue spectrum. This is one of the very affordable paints, black, Crawford and black, the red and the blue. They're amazing and definitely worth picking up if you're in the UK, in the works. So I got my round today, and this one is a 10-inch diameter one, and it's just slightly wider than the dustpan, so you can fit the paint and it doesn't go too much off the canvas. It's a cardboard canvas, and I tend to use them to stick down onto things, because when they do get wet they bend very slightly, and you can almost use that and go with that bend and create something else out of them. I'm making pieces for the house which I intend to resin, that I can place objects in. I'll explain a bit more towards the end. So as I'm layering the paints, I've not done this before, and the reason why I modified it is because this dustpan is quite wide. It's got quite a wide brim, and I wanted to have some sort of tunnel, and I was almost thinking of a split cup. So in a way it could be a split cup dustpan pour or a split cup dustpan. So I was just layering them up, having no idea how it's going to land, but knowing that the way I was layering it, I could have a lot of the satin enamel in two of the colours there. Almost looks like ice cream as it comes down the canvas, and some of the patterns that were formed were so amazing, really mesmerising. So it's a nice colour palette, and I haven't used this particular palette together before in this way, so it was a complete experiment today. And I've got some titanium white. There's no cell activator in any of the paints, so I went for it. It was dripping off a bit, and I thought, right, now I'm going to purposefully, can you see that pattern there? Just pour it onto the canvas. It created such a lovely skin inside of the dustpan. So I layered it up again. I thought I could do a small paint on there, and I'm going to make some more patterns. And I was beginning to see the blues and the white making a lovely stream, and I had a bit of an idea in my mind. I thought if it dries with these streams in it, I can see some sort of spray paint coming up when it's dried. And I thought, oh, I'm going a bit off piste here. But that's one of the lovely things about art and creativity. You see where you go with it. So as I was pouring, I was thinking, gosh, some of those colours look really muddy. This is going to be a complete disaster. And then I started to spin out and watched as the satin enamel was doing its magic. I could see how it was expanding in the areas where the white was coming through, and I could see where it was expanding with the red and the pink. Although the pink was very lost in the end, it just came through underneath. So this really lovely effect was created. Can you see how at this point I was beginning to look down, almost as if you were looking at a world from space or something like that, and you were beginning to see the oceans and the land and that sort of thing. That's the sort of feel it was giving me, and I thought, oh, within that I could do planets, and it could actually become a part of space or have some sort of space vibe to it. It wasn't particularly looking at a world, it was just looking at something from a distance. And then I thought, actually the colours in this would look so good with a couple of planets. I was beginning to work out where I could place my planets. So I'm just tilting this now, and I wanted it all to go off in one direction more than the other, so it looked like it was going around a globe sort of feel. And at this stage I didn't know how it was going to end up or how it was going to turn out, and that was the exciting bit as well. So I'm pretty much done here, and I waited for it to dry, and I left it, and I loved it, and I thought, yeah, I could definitely spray paint this. So once it was dry, here's a little close up, I found where I could put my spray paints. So here's my glossy black, and even though I cleaned it off, there was a bit of a build up where it done a bit of a leaking in between sessions. So I got my trusty pin and cleared that away. These are really good actually, they don't get too clogged up, as long as you keep them in a nice stable temperature room, or nice, nicely stored where the temperature doesn't get too hot or too cold. Give it a bit of a spray to test to make sure it's okay. And then I've got my copper. I thought I'd see where I'd place it. At this point I wasn't quite sure where I'd put the colours. I had a bit of clogging up on the red. I just wanted to show you here how I get rid of it. Just literally just using a fine point. And where the red is in the planet, I wanted to give a sort of a hazy red feel on one side to extend that streak across the planet. So there's a tiny little hue there which I was really enjoying. And then I got the black and wanted to give it more of a planet feel by doing the sides just very, very gently. So I'm aiming the nozzle of the spray can at an angle. It's always good to keep the spray can pretty much vertical at a slight angle. There's my copper. I was spraying a bit of copper on top of the red to dull it down a bit and give it a bit of a rosy effect. So as I'm using the black spray paint, I'm literally angling it, so I'm angling almost underneath the canvas, so it's literally just skimming the edges. And there's my wet wipe. I use biodegradable wet wipes, which you can get from most supermarkets now. And I tend to use it with my finger, rubbing it around, and then I swap it around and I just use every part of that wet wipe. Now I've got my planet on there. I literally just use the white, and I'm aiming the white at the left hand side of the circle, so it's got a hue. And now I'm placing that there just literally just to cover up half of it, because I want it to have like a really strong white half. So you can see now it's almost a line down there. And so then when I use the black, I'm going to do the other shadow into the spray paint. I'm literally just doing it very, very lightly, and you can see I'm spraying at the right hand side of the stencil. Can you see the hue there? And when you don't cover I don't cover the whole canvas up, because I do quite like the spits that come from the black. That gives a bit of stardust effect. You can put the white on afterwards, or gold or copper. It's also bits that float in space. You get sort of black bits. So now I'm doing a smaller planet. The smaller planets are a bit more challenging, and especially because the canvas had dried and it was slightly bent. So I needed to have it at an angle so that you could spray it properly, because you can't really spray it when it's lying down. You need to have it at an almost vertical at an angle. And I needed to be able to hold it in place. This was quite tricky. You can spray it for a second, but you can't spray it for too long at that angle. So I did a quick squeeze, and I managed to get it, and then I do a quick squeeze with the black. Can you see it's almost vertical? It doesn't work brilliantly like that. So ideally I'd have it pressed against the upright plank that I use to do my spray painting against. There we are. But it turned out just fine. As long as you don't spray for seconds and seconds on end, you're okay to do a couple of squirts here and there. Or sprays, should I say. So I was pretty much done here. There wasn't much wiping to do on this one. And I wanted to do a bit of stardust, and I wanted one particular star. So I'm just spraying all over that now, and I use a bit of a wet wipe just to get a bit of clarity around the planets and to blend in a bit and make sure that some of the blues are coming through, or whatever it is that you want to come through. So it's a question of building up the layers of spray paint and just being consistent with the rubbing off. So I didn't want any to go in that area, and I wanted to do my little star where the dark was there. So it's very, very light spray, 2 or 3 times, and there's a star there. And then later on, I don't show it in this video, it just takes 2 seconds, I paint it in. So here is the finished version, and I'm really happy with this planet pour, and I'm going to resin this or varnish it. Can you see the star down the bottom on the left? And I want to say thank you so much to Michelle for joining us today. It's been an absolute delight and such fun doing this collab with you. Love you ladies so much. Thank you to my lovely friend Kim. I can't wait to see what Kim's done. Let's go and have a look at their channels now. Michelle from Raw River Art and Kim from Kim's Art Alchemy. Don't forget, your art is a piece of you. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.